The magnificent, the esteemed Ali.
That's why I never lead with that. Thank you, sir. I was told.
We are extremely honored to have you.
Oh, you're very kind.
Sorry that you were.
Who are we doing this interview for?
It's streaming on live on YouTube.
It's for South by Southwest.
South by Southwest.
I see.
This is the South by Southwest
then
studio.
once it's on YouTube, it'll be on YouTube, so we can go.
Forevers.
Yes.
Okay.
I will send a link that you will be able to watch it again after it goes on the live stream.
Okay, let's go.
Hang on and get everybody set.
Where do you live?
Originally from California, but I moved to Virginia for Bibi, who is much better than me, and a doctor.
Moved to Virginia. For what reason?
My wife's a doctor at Georgetown,
Okay.
and she's a family health physician, so I married up. So
Where did you grow up?
Bay, California. Yeah, but they didn't teach me
Sir, this is
English.
Is that okay? It's a grapefruit?
Yes,
It's
that's
sparkling.
They didn't
Thank you
teach
so
me
much.
English until I was 5.
Why?
Dada, dadi, they're like, कोई बात नहीं उर्दू हिंदू मैं बात कर लेंगे सीख जाएगा. So I took ESL as a six-year-old in America, even though I was born and raised here. But I ended up graduating with an English major, so look at that.
30 seconds.
Language you speak very well in both languages.
93rd book.
Yeah.
Oof. Stop being so
20.
lazy.
15. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
I'm so excited to announce our next guest, the world-renowned pioneer in integrative medicine and personal transformation. He's the author of more than 90 books. I said 90, including numerous New York Times bestsellers, and has been recognized as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people. He's also part of a new series called Open Minds that explores the potential of psychedelics for mental health. Please welcome to the South by Southwest studio for the first time, Deepak Chopra, everybody.
Thank you.
Deepak Saab, कैसे हैं आप?
बिल्कुल ठीक, आप सुनाएं.
मैं ठीक हूँ, Deepak Saab. As I was telling you before, that I'm an attorney. I wrote a play, I wrote a book. I've been doing some interesting things in life. I wrote for the New York Times, but for the Desis in my family, none of that matters. I finally made it because I'm sharing a table with you, sir. So thank you.
You're very kind.
You're
very eloquent, by the way, both in Urdu and in English.
Oh, बहुत shukriya. My mom will really appreciate it. You hear that, Ammi? All right. So you are here. You are Deepak Saab. You are my Desi uncle. Okay. I would never imagined that a Desi uncle would be at South by Southwest telling the children, "Beta, psychedelics, try them out. Teach us about the power of psychedelics." You have a panel here about the journey that one can take with psychedelics that can help them live better lives.
So, as a physician, I am actually very impressed with the data of psychedelics and mental well-being and alleviation of mental distress, suicidal ideation, and a vast range of mental disorders. As I said, as a physician. I'm also very interested, as a physician, in the role of psychedelics in what we call end-of-life care, where there's immense fear of death. But now I'll tell you the real reason, okay?
The credentials are out of the way, sir.
Yeah, credentials are out of the way. So, ever since I was a medical student, which is
10 years ago.
No, 50 plus years ago, I was interested in what we call consciousness or awareness, or where does experience occur. Like we are having an experience right now. People who are watching us are also having an experience. Where is the experience happening? Most people point to the brain. And actually, if you look at the brain, then you can ask your wife, she's a doctor, I was told. There's no experience in the brain. All there is neurochemistry. These are called the neural correlates of experience, NCE. But where is the experience happening? And I think we would agree that the experience is happening in consciousness. Where else could it be? You know, or awareness. Where else could it be? If you don't have consciousness, you don't have experience. So where is this consciousness? You can't find it in the body. There's no little Deepak in here looking through these eyes at the world.
Yeah.
You can look for me in my body, you won't find me there. So where is the real me?
Profound question, sir.
This has been a question in the West since Plato. It's called the mind-body problem. In the East, it's been a perennial question. But, you know, luminaries like Jalaluddin Rumi or the great sages of the Upanishads or the Western Gnostic Gospels, they tell us that consciousness is not in space-time. And their religious experience.
A profound religious experience.
Huh? Profound.
Yeah. And they were serious about it, scholars.
Yeah, Rumi, Hafez, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, even though he didn't frame it like that, the Prophet.
Yeah.
There are only three components to the experience. One is you transcend space-time and causality. You find an identity outside of space-time, which is very difficult for anyone to even imagine. Okay, but they had that experience. Second is they have the emergence of what we call Platonic values: truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, joy, equanimity. Third is they lose the fear of death. Now, I would say if anyone had that experience, it would radically change the way they look at the world. So what we call the normal world, in my view now, and there are some people who agree, a lot say this guy's a fraud again. You know what?
You've heard it throughout your career.
Throughout my career. But there's a bunch of neuroscientists now who question everyday reality. What is this that we're experiencing? You're looking outside here, Austin streets, etc. And I say what we call everyday reality is a socially induced hallucination. It's actually a projection of a more fundamental reality which has no form. It is formless. Now, even today, scientists will tell you whether they agree with me or not, but whatever fundamental reality is, quantum vacuum, whatever, it doesn't have a form. It doesn't have a boundary. It's formless. Okay. So what is it? And we can't experience it because I challenge you to experience formlessness.
I can try, but I think I'll fail, sir.
You'll fail.
Yeah.
So if the fundamental reality is formless, why did it look like this? And it's a modification of a more fundamental consciousness, which is spaceless, which is timeless, which is irreducible, which is fundamental, which is without cause. Now, you can call it whatever you want.
What do you call it?
It. I call it it. But you can call it Brahman, Allah, Ein Sof, fundamental reality, non-local field of possibilities. The name is irrelevant. It is infinite, formless, incomprehensible, unimaginable, cannot be accessed by thought. And yet, without it, there's no thought, there's no perception.
It grounds many people, gives them hope, gives them ethics, gives them purpose.
Yeah, but fine. Gives them who? Fictional characters in a correct collective dreamscape. What you call Mr. Ali is a fictional character, so is Deepak. This is our collective dreamscape, and we've kind of recycled it for thousands of years. And yet, you know, when Moses fed manna to the Israelites, I bet you there was fungus in it. When Jesus Christ converted the water into wine, I bet you those casks had fungus. Okay? All these miracles, so-called, are actually non-local dormant potentials. In the Vedic literature, they're called the siddhis, because all this is a manipulation or reorientation of perceptual activity that takes you to the source of all perceptual activity.
It.
It, God. Ein Sof. I don't
Whatever
care.
you call
Brahman.
it. Whatever you call
Yeah.
it.
Timeless and infinite. Now here's the best part of it. You are that. You are that. You are the divine as
And the divine is in you.
the divine is in you. Now, if I could give this experience to a person who's confronting death, I think it would be a gift. And I did. You know, I'd work with a neuropsychiatrist, Geeta Ved. She's an Oxford-trained neuropsychiatrist. And we sit with patients. We also are incorporating music, meditation, some of the ancient techniques on transcendence, you know, focused awareness, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, as they call it. And just a few months ago, my literary agent, who'd been very close to me 50 years, she died of a brain cancer.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah, and we sat with her and took her through a ketamine experience. She had this extraordinary experience.
Towards the end of her life.
Towards the end, she died 2 weeks later, and she died joyful and happy.
And you said joyfulness and happiness and whatever this thing is, this experience that we're going through.
It's ineffable.
Yeah, that we as fictional creators and creations, and I wish in my fiction I had abs, but I don't, but it's fine.
God's dream. You are part of God's dream.
God gave me no abs, but that's okay. It's fine. I'm not bitter. But we live through this. We endure it. And for many, they suffer. And the science and the literature that's coming out on MDMA, for example, these psychedelics.
Absolutely. It just was with the MAPS people who are getting it legalized now.
It shows that, you know, I'll share that my father has an anxiety disorder, OCD. I have it. One of the inheritances. That's how God also, or it, wrote out my character. They were saying,
We are the bit of the it.
the bit of the it has dad bod and OCD. But MDMA, they say, helped some folks who found no other peace when it comes to anxiety disorder. They tried this, changed everything. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so it does that, MDMA does that, and so we have experience with people, veterans with PTSD. It does exactly that. What I believe it does, it removes or loosens the solidified neural networks of the conditioned mind.
Okay.
So this mind is conditioned through circumstance, events, people, relationships, economics, religion, ancestors, you name it. You know, we've been conditioned, recycling of conditioned mind for 40,000 years, ever since humans created a language for telling stories. Until 40,000 years ago, there were, I'm told, 8 different humanoids. They all had a primitive language for either food calls, mating calls, and danger calls. That's how we survive. But needs.
Yeah.
This species created a language for telling stories, and the first stories were gossip. And then there was money, and then there's latitude,
Of course,
longitude,
you always
all
have
of
to talk smack first.
Yeah, you start with that.
And swear.
And it's still the most common language anyway. But the point is, once we started modeling our experiences, we created a mind that recycles over thousands of years as separate. The separate mind is a socially induced hallucination as well. Fundamental reality says everything is entangled, everything is connected, interdependent, etc. Now, the psychedelics that you're talking about, that MDMA included, I believe, and there's some evidence, loosen the neural correlates of the conditioned mind, but also decrease the activity of a part of the brain called the default mode network, which is the neural correlate of your ego. So ego dissolution occurs.
Which is what Sufis have been talking about.
Yeah, they do the same
Forever.
thing by whirling.
Yeah.
They do the same thing by
Chanting, meditation,
yes, chanting,
fasting.
fasting. And all these things actually increase the activity of a nerve in the body called the vagus nerve, the
That's right.
parasympathetic. That's the healing system. So yeah, chanting, humming, praying, whirling,
Creates an openness.
breathing exercises, all these, and even bandhas, kriyas, all these open our constricted energy, which we call mass. Mass is constricted energy. Energy is the expansion and contraction of space. And space itself is infinite, unimaginable. Okay. Psychedelics give people even a restructuring of the space-time continuum and the theater of space-time and causality. You know, people have experiences which are transpersonal, where time is not linear, where there's a holographic, fractal representation and reordering of space-time, past, present, and future, all
while they're in that experience.
While in that, and you know, if you look at Tibetan mandalas, there's a Kala Chakra.
Yeah.
You know, the god of death is holding all the lokas in his mouth.
Yeah.
Kala means time, Chakra means the wheel of time. And they show all these different realms of existence, which are other dimensions of space-time which we cannot imagine. Now, current mathematics says that there could be more dimensions than the 3 dimensions and time that we have. In fact, string theory, 11 dimensions.
Right.
Mathematical.
Black holes.
Black holes, which will never, singularity, which we'll never experience. But the religious guys say,
it's all there.
it's all there. And
You just can't see it.
And consciousness has leaky margins. I can take you there.
With the psychedelic, I can take you there.
And with meditation.
I can take you on the trip.
I can take you on the
And you know,
this is one trip right now.
you're mentioning this, right? And some people are watching, and you know this throughout your entire career. Bakwas. Ye kya hai, Deepak Chopra? Nonsense.
Yeah.
It's consciousness, space-time continuum, fraud.
You know, I was in Australia a few years ago. 60 Minutes came to do an interview. What kind of a doctor are you? I said, I'm a witch doctor.
Where'd you get your diploma?
Yeah. But, you know, I trained in neuroscience and neuroendocrinology.
No, but you're fusing it, which is good because you're a doctor. You have the science, you have the data. It's mind, body, space right together. But what's really interesting, and I always joke with people about this, I'm like, look at this Western medicine now. Look at the wellness industry. That's $1 billion industry. They're talking about meditation, breathing, fasting, haldi, turmeric.
Absolutely.
Have you heard about
they all work.
And this is stuff that our dadis, dadas, our grandparents have been doing for ages. And I'm sitting there thinking to other desis, we could have made so much money off these rich folks. We could have just taught them how to breathe and do all the stuff that we're doing. But the point I'm trying to say is that the stuff that they dismissed as backward, savage stuff from the East is what's giving people peace in 2023 America.
It is 100% true, and without naming anybody, but a few years ago, I met the
Name them, safe space.
No. Head of R&D for one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world. And you know, right now, the talk in medical science is electroceuticals. Your body is a field of electricity, and it is being regulated through ions and ionic exchanges across cell membranes. And every experience, of course, shifts the movement or patterns of electricity in your body. In fact, there's a new term now called the electrome, which is
Electrum.
Electrome, like the microbiome.
Gotcha.
Electrome. This is the network of electrical circuits in our body. But just think of this. The electrical circuits in your body are inseparable from the electromagnetic fields of the universe. And there's no boundary between you and the rest of the universe at that level. So the religious experience is going beyond all boundaries, ineffable love.
Transcendence.
Transcendence. So yes, so anyway, this guy comes to me, he says, you know, R&D, whatever, we are doing, creating electroceuticals. I said, wait a few years, you'll have digiceuticals, and then you'll have metaceuticals, and more than that. And our ancient people have been
on this
for a long time. They manipulate the electroceuticals just through consciousness. And he thought about it. He said, then how do we make money out of that?
Of course.
That's the first question. We are a publicly traded company. We have to make money. We can't tell everybody to breathe and chant and do yoga and take turmeric. Because you can't even patent turmeric unless you know.
Yet. They'll find a way.
They'll find a way. So I said to him, I said, you know, fund some of the studies in this area because now the evidence is there. And then use the electroceuticals for severe cases.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have a science. Never heard from him.
Never. Deepak, why are you not making pharmaceutical companies more money? That's why you're supposed to be here. Come on now.
Actually, I'm on the process of doing that now. I'm collaborating with pharmaceutical companies to create new molecules
Right.
that are targeted. We'll see where that goes.
But at least you're on it. You're on it.
Yeah.
I only have 90 seconds left. I have to ask you so much more. But in 90 seconds, I'm going to ask you two questions. If you can look at that camera, that's your camera. Make the case to Americans to spend time doing yoga every day.
If you want a joyful, energetic body, loving, compassionate heart, clear mind, and lightness of being, yoga is the key.
Can they make money off it?
I don't know.
And the
At this moment.
final question, and this is a serious question. What pisses you off?
These days,
Yeah, because you're doing yoga 3 hours a day, you're Mr. Calm. I want to see, like, how does Deepak get pissed?
Nothing really pisses me off, but I am frustrated that as a collective species, we are sleepwalking our way to extinction with mechanized death, nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, extinction of species, destruction of the ecosystem, climate change, poison in our food chain, health created by environment, health problems, and no joy. I mean, if you don't have joy, what's the point of having lived a life?
I mean, hallelujah. Deepak Saab, it was an honor. It was a pleasure being on this trip with you, with my fictional self.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Yes.
You have the 93rd book you just wrote. Just give a shout out. What's the name of it?
It's called Living in the Light, Yoga for Self-Realization.
93rd book, and you have Open Minds. And you're speaking tomorrow, March 12th at 11:30 a.m. in the Austin Convention Center, Ballroom A, as part of a featured session called Open Minds, Innovations in Consciousness, Psychedelics, and Mental Health. Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you.
And you can find our complete schedule of our interviews on our website at sxsw.com/studio. And coming up next at 3 p.m., we're going to have actors Bob Odenkirk, Mireille Enos, and the team behind the new AMC series Lucky Hank in the studio. Naturally, that's who follows Deepak Chopra. Don't forget, our studio interviews are live streaming during the conference on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SXSW. And I'm your host, Wajahat Ali. Thanks for watching. I wish we had more time tonight.
But I enjoyed it.
Great, thank you.
We meet again in
I
the
hope
dream
so.
skip.
I hope so.
We're clear.
I'll visit your dreams.
We just have a couple for one quick South by question that we would do right
Okay.
here, and we'll let
Yeah.
you go. We're gonna just move to this chair.